Zoom recording. Okay, thanks everybody for joining this kind of last minute presentation. What led me to wanting to do this talk today is I was just awarded to be a Tableau Public ambassador for the second time last what was that, Monday, I guess it was. And it's quite an honor. I do a lot on Tableau Public, and it's fun to be a part of that. I was a Tableau Public ambassador for the first time last year because I didn't know that visionaries were eligible. Didn't used to be, so it's good that we are now, because now I can maybe get it again. Plus, the ambassadors get the best swag. So looks like there's good swag coming this year. So that's the real reason for wanting to be an ambassador is for the swag. So this is a talk that I gave earlier this year at the Salesforce World Tour in London. And I thought, oh, well, this is probably something people might find useful, given that all of these ambassadorship things came out recently. And if you are an ambassador, if you could just type your name in the chat, and we will applaud all of you as we go on. So don't be afraid to promote yourself in the chat. And let's get started here. So we're going to talk today about my opinion and my experience about why you should be a Tableau Public, why you should build a Tableau Public profile, what's it going to do for your career, etc. So the first thing I did when I went out to survey this talk is I decided, you know what? I don't really know what I want to say in this talk, so I'm just going to ask everybody else to basically create the content for me. So that's the best way to create a presentation, is to ask others to create it for you. So I asked both on Slack and on LinkedIn for lots, any reasons you might have for why somebody should start a Tableau Public profile. And there were three key things that came through: build your skills, develop your career, and be part of a community, right? Very, very simple things. And those are the three things we're going to talk about today. And at the end, I've got something for you at the end for sticking around. Actually, a couple of things I've got special for you at the end. So if you stick around, I'll let you know what you are getting at the end. As far as skills, as you all know, there's tons of different ways to develop your skills, right? In Tableau Public, you might want to, maybe you're a beginner and you want to just start building some basic dashboards or some basic charts, right? You want to learn how to build lots of different bar charts and line charts and things like that. All of that stuff is perfectly fine. But what I would recommend is before you start trying to do too many things. So I see people that they try to, create these super fancy visualizations with all these graphics and all of that from the very start. You're doomed to fail, and you're doomed to get incredibly frustrated. And the one thing I don't want is for people to get frustrated when they use Tableau. I love Tableau. I want everybody else to love it too. If you've ever worked with me, you know how much I love Tableau. So my advice to you is pick kind of one topic, right? Do I want to focus on learning calculations, right? Maybe that's the topic you focus on. Or maybe I want to focus on designing KPIs, or maybe I want to focus on building basic dashboards, because that's what 99% of people use in their jobs anyway. We see all of these fancy dashboards out on Tableau Public. You know what people use? Lines, bars, and tables, right? So if you could be good at anything, be good at lines, bars, and tables. So before you get too far along with developing those other skills, make sure you kind of perfect those fundamentals before you move on to another one. So you need to decide what that is for you. I can't dictate that for you, but also make sure it's something that's interesting to you, because otherwise you're probably not going to stick to it. So I hear from a lot of people, well, I don't know what data sets to use to get started. Where can I find data? There's tons and tons of places you can find data. There's Makeover Monday is a great place. There's almost 500 free data sets out there that are all real data. You could go to a lot of government websites like the City of Chicago or New York or Atlanta or London. All these cities have tons and tons of information. The Office of National Statistics in the UK. The NHS publishes data. So whatever industry you want, there's that data available. So if it's sports, obviously there's tons and tons of sports data out there. particularly for American sports. So find whatever your niche is or whatever your interest is, not niche, whatever your interest is, start there because you're going to enjoy the process a lot more. So through those skills, you might think about, well, maybe you should develop your own style. So this is from Ellen Blackburn. If you don't follow her on Tableau Public, you should. I will try to remember to put the links out afterwards, or maybe Ojo, you could stick these links in the chat for me. Ellen went through the data school where I taught her through the data school. She's a way better designer than I taught her to be, that's for sure. But you can see just by looking, right, these are really zoomed out screenshots. Do you see some kind of style of hers there? Right? What do you see? Type in the chat. What do you see as a style for Ellen's dashboards here? What's the first word that comes into your head? Purple, color palette, simple colors, clean, pastels. Everybody's pretty much picking up on the same things, right? You know, if you see something that has pastels and it looks nice and clean, there's probably a good chance it was either created by Ellen or inspired by Ellen, right? So she clearly has her own style, and that's the path she chooses to go down. Okay, how about this one? So we see this is from Shreya Arya. She's a newly appointed Tableau Public ambassador as well. She also went through the data school. And she's in the data school now, so she's an ambassador while she's in the data school, which I think is pretty cool. But what do you see for, I mean, I've kind of given away here, right, in the titles, but you see tons and tons of variety in her visualization. So looking at hers, what's one thing that you see there? So if you could just type in the chat, dark background. Okay, so those are the first things that popped out to Jasmine. Thank you, Ojo. I see, you know, a couple of circles stick out to me. So there's some kind of like circular diagram, graphics, right? It looks more like graphic design, would you say, than necessarily dashboards and things. So Ellen's are much more dashboardy, I guess. Is that a word? Dashboardy? Something like that, where Shreya's are much more about the creativity that you can do with Tableau. But what's interesting about her work is she doesn't actually use a lot of background images. If you look around Tableau Public and visit the day, for example, you see some of these incredible visualizations, but a lot of that is actually done in other tools and brought into Tableau. One of the things I like about Shreya's work is almost all of it is done inside of Tableau, except for maybe a background image. So let's see, the third column, third across, so bottom, you know, the one with the blue background, that's just an image in the background, but everything else in her dashboard is created in Tableau. So she's really stretching the limits of her creativity. And then there's somebody like Serena Perslow, also went through the data school, and she also just became a Tableau Public ambassador. Actually, Ellen's an ambassador as well. So all three of them are Tableau Public ambassadors. And what do you see when you first see Serena's? Now, I know that her focus is to continue to push the edge of what she can learn, right? So if she thinks that there's something new that she wants to learn, she goes ahead and creates that or tries to do something around that. So with hers, a lot of it is more around techniques, right? She's got a lot of variation in the things that she does. Some of them are, you know, like the very upper left, the email campaign dashboard, or the very right-hand side, second one down. Those are kind of dashboards, right? Traditional business style dashboards, really easy for people to use. But then there's also the technical things like Workout Wednesday. So she's got a very rounded variety, but a lot of hers is around the really technical aspects of Tableau, but also while keeping everything really beautiful. And when I look at hers, I kind of see purples as well. I don't know if anybody else sees purples when you look at hers as the first color that you see, right? Okay. And when you're getting started, I've talked about this once already, don't jump into anything too advanced at the start. Start with the basics. So there's 4 community projects that are the best way for you to get started. Makeover Monday, I'm biased toward because I helped create it back in 2016. There's the book here too somewhere. If anybody wants to buy the book, you know, it's on Amazon. I make about 50p per book. These are the best projects for you to get started, and they're intentionally, oh, thank you, Charlotte. They're intentionally designed to help people feel comfortable getting started. Makeover Monday gives you a topic every week, and it comes with a visualization. So you already know the context that the original author was trying to use. It comes with clean data sets, so you don't have to do any data preparation, right? There's no barriers to starting with Makeover Monday. And the idea isn't to rebuild what the original visualization is. That's just there for context. There's a link to an article to give you even more context. But the idea is for you to take that data set and what can you build with that data set? And it might be where you're trying to craft a story, right? You want to do maybe a more analytical storytelling type visualization, or maybe you want to build a dashboard, right? That's more a a business style dashboard, or you want to build a single chart with some interactivity in it, or something like that. You want to practice actions. There's no single thing you need to do with Makeover Monday, but it's a great way to practice things. So a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago now, I created this really weird radial thing I'd never built before. And it's very, very unlike me to build things like that. But I saw it and I was like, oh, well, this is pretty cool. I wonder how to build that. And I got the tutorial and tried to redo it with this data set because it seemed like a reasonable one. Would I ever use that in a business context? No. So when I approach Makeover Monday, I try to build charts that I think are going to be useful for other people, but also things that I might reuse in work. Then there's Back to Viz Basics. So that's similar to Makeover Monday. They do give you a data set. I think most of the time they're real data sets, but Back to Viz Basics gives you actually a theme for the week. So the theme might be create your best heat map. The theme might be create your best line chart, right? You think, well, how many different ways can somebody do a line chart? You would be absolutely amazed at how many different ways people can do a line chart. A couple of years ago in Makeover Monday, it might have even been the first year, we did one of the data sets was on global warming. And it was 2 columns. It was the month and the change versus 1970 or whatever that kind of normalized baseline is. You think, well, how many possible ways could people visualize 2 data points? Right. And there were over 150 different visualizations with that one data set. I was completely blown away. I thought for sure we're just going to see lines and that's it. Right. That's what you would expect. But that's what Tableau allows you to do. It allows you to be as creative as you want and experiment, try different things. And as you're building things, make sure you put them on your Tableau Public profile. Don't build something for Makeover Monday and then let it sit on your computer. Publish everything you create up to Tableau Public. Storytelling with data. I don't know how popular that one is anymore. Maybe Charlotte or Ojo. I don't know how much more you know. Is that one still around, Charlotte? I know I had the book, but the project itself, it used to be once a month. Maybe it's still once a month. Again, that one is typically a more of a theme-based type of project. And then real world fake data is all about taking a fake data set, but the idea is to mimic a real data set and create a business style dashboard. So this is great if you want to learn to build business style dashboards. So Serena, Shreya, and Ellen, several of their dashboards are from the real world fake data project. Okay, and all these data sets are free to download, and just search for those on Tableau Public as well for inspiration. And then once you kind of know these basics, right? So you know the basics through Makeover Monday, Back to Viz Basics, storytelling with data, and real world fake data. Then go on to the more technical projects like Workout Wednesday, Iron Quests, Project Health Viz, Sports Viz Sunday. Those take a lot deeper technical knowledge to participate in. I see so many people, they're 2 weeks into Tableau. They found the community, they're super excited. They jump into Workout Wednesday and they get completely turned off by Tableau. Tableau's a piece of crap. It can't do what I want it to do. Well, you're not actually, it's not Tableau that's the issue. It's that you're trying to do something that's too hard for you based on your skills at the time. So be careful if you're new to Tableau, stick with those basic projects first before you move on to these more difficult ones, because you will get frustrated and you're going to lose the joy for working with Tableau. So that was the first part, right? Building your skills. The second part that people gave me was your career, right? You can use Tableau Public as a great way to build your career. So more and more companies are concerned about what you can do for them, not where you went to school. So when I've interviewed, gosh, I I think I counted the other day around 4,000 people in my career. I mean, it's ridiculous the number of interviews. And I never looked at one resume or one CV, never, because I really don't care. I'm going to know, can you do the job? Can you come in and help the team, right? And more companies are starting to take that approach. So even if you're an undergrad, you can still create a Tableau Public profile. There's the only thing that's stopping you is you. That's the only thing that's stopping you from creating a profile. So think about it as if you are you're looking to hire an interior designer. How many of you, show of hands, how many of you would try to find out where they went to school or ask them for their resume? Anybody? Any hands up? How many of you would probably go to their website and click on their little portfolio button at the top? Pretty much everybody, right? Because what you care about is, does this person have the style I want? Do they look like they know what they're doing, right? So you're hiring them based on the work that they've done and predicting that you're going to get that payback in the future. And think about Tableau Public the same way. You want to publish everything you create up to Tableau Public. And you might think, well, why should I do that? Why shouldn't I just keep, my 10 best things in my portfolio on there? Well, from my perspective, I think it's very important that you show progression of your work as well. So when somebody wants, or I'm looking to work with somebody, I'll go to their Tableau Public profile. First thing I do is I go all the way to the bottom, right? What were they doing when they first started? And do I see a progression in their work through time? Because I want to know, can this person learn, right? Are they capable of learning and continuing to develop when they join my team? And your profile is becoming your resume. So this is Priya Padam. She went through the data school. She is an ambassador and a visionary. And again, I guess before I move on, what's the first thing you think of when you see, first word that pops in your head when you see her profile? Movies. Oh yeah, Matrix. Right. Well, Radiohead is a movie, but you do see the big. Is Radiohead a movie as well? I know it's a band, but maybe it's a movie as well. Names, dark backgrounds, but there's some consistent things, right? So if you're looking, so Priya has this like incredible ability to sort of combine all of those skills we talked about before. She has a style, right? They all kind of look like they belong together, right? When you say they all look like they belong together, she's demonstrated technical capabilities. If you open up one of these workbooks, you're like, how in the world, how did she figure that out, right? You download the workbook, you figure out what are these calculations she used. Yeah, theme dashboards. That's right, Jasmine. Contrast. And she's showing creativity as well. So she's kind of covering all of it. So if you're looking, let's say Priya applies to one of your Tableau jobs. Are you going to hire her based on this Tableau Public profile? Probably, right? Right? It's at least going to get her an interview, right? I mean, of course, you want to know if she's going to fit the team, but she's a wonderful person. If you ever get the chance to hire her, do it without even asking any questions. But this is her resume. When she was finished with the data school, this is what people hired her on. She went to work for David Perez at Expedia. And David's been around the Tableau community for a long time, and he knows the value of Tableau Public. So he hires people based on their Tableau Public profiles, and that's happening more and more. And of course, having a great profile can help you get noticed, right? You could get a visit of the day. If you've had a visit of the day, type your name in the chat. I'm sure some of you have had a visit of the day. Does everybody know what visit of the day is? Have you heard of it before? I think I'm seeing, yeah, everybody's a few heads nodding no. Well, visit of the day is basically Tableau picks a visualization from Tableau Public, promotes it as their favorite of the day, right? That's basically it. You can nominate somebody else's visualization. You can nominate your own if you want. It does a very good job of showing a variety of different things that you can do. But also sometimes there's incredibly technical things in there that have, like, for example, there's a community project or initiative right now called Data Plus TV. I think it's called Data Plus TV. And you'll see some visualizations on Visit Today for that. And they're crazy. I mean, I don't have the slightest clue how people do these things. Are they nice to look at? Yes. Am I gonna, play around with a bit? Probably. Am I going to favorite it? Probably not, because it's not something that would be useful to me, for me later on. Where, for example, if I look at the one on the upper right for the team styles dashboard, right? This is like a template. These are templates that you can use. For me, that's super valuable. So I'm going to favorite that. And now I've got my list of favorites in my Tableau Public profile that I can go back and look at each time if I need some inspiration. So I use Tableau Public a lot for inspiration. And it also, like I mentioned earlier, it also shows you can learn. So Lorna Brown, she's an ambassador. She is a 4-time visionary, so I'm sure she'll get in the Hall of Fame next year. I don't have a doubt. She was in the 2nd cohort of the data school. And on the left-hand side, that's what she created when she first started using Tableau. And look what she's creating now on the right-hand side, right? She's got several hundred visualizations on her Tableau Public profile because she works her ass off. Every week she wants to get better, so she finds an excuse to keep practicing, right? She doesn't look for excuses not to practice. I don't have time. I can't find a data set. Those are excuses, right? Those are in your head. If you want to get good, you have to practice. And she finds she does intentional practice, but she doesn't take anything off of her Tableau Public profile. She wants to show that progression in her work. And it also lets people realize that, you know what? Yeah, she's a 4-time visionary, but look, she started somewhere too. She wasn't building these incredible visualizations from the start. Everybody starts somewhere. And consider, and then Tableau Public ends up becoming kind of like a gallery. So as you scroll through somebody's Tableau Public profile, you can see more and more of the things that they've created, right? So the more you put on there, the more people have to scroll, the more they engage with it, right? Especially if the thumbnails look good, right? So the thumbnail is kind of the preview that Tableau gives there. And then another thing that I like to do is everything that I create, I get either do a GIF or an image of it, and I put it in a Google Photos album. How many of you have created a Google Photos album of your visualizations? Anybody? Is anybody now thinking, oh, I probably should do that? That sounds like a pretty good idea. Yeah, because I think about that, a Google Photos album, like a designer, right? A designer will have a Pinterest page, right, where you can see all of their work. That's kind of how I use Google Photos. I make it a public photo album, and I dump everything that I create in there. Stuff that I might not publish. It might be different versions of things I publish because I want to remember what they look like. And you'd be surprised at how quickly these things build up. So when I do a Makeover Monday, for example, I might build 7 or 8 different charts before I decide on one that I like. And I might get 90% of the way through one and decide, you know what, that was a really terrible idea. I need to start over. But I'll still take a screenshot of that one because it was pretty good before I stopped. At least I was proud of it. So I'll take a screenshot and just throw it in this Google Photo album. It takes 2 seconds. And you'll end up building lots of visualizations over time. And you can probably see here, so this is mine. You can see there's a lot of visualizations that are similar because they're just variations as I went through the project. And then the third part of the reasons I got from the community for why you should participate in the community is the community, right? So the community told me that the community is important. Who would have thought that, right? The Tableau Public community is unlike any other that you will experience in data, guaranteed, right? There's no other tool or no other, piece of software that has this almost like, dare I say, cultish type of following, right? It's the Tableau community is incredible. It's a great place to get support that you need. So there's things like the forums. It's a great way for you to meet other people and participate in user groups. But overall, it's a very safe space for you to grow. You're not going to find assholes in a Tableau community. Those people somehow seem to disappear because people stop talking to them. You're not going to find jerks in the Tableau community. You're going to find, I think, almost everybody in the Tableau community wants to help you. Everybody wants to see everybody else succeed. Everybody wants to see everybody else grow in their careers. We're all in this together, right? We want to help each other. We want to make our lives better. We want to make our careers better. We want to make the world better by being able to develop our skills. I know it sounds kind of fantasy land and fairy tale, but that's how I feel about it. I think that we can do that by supporting each other. And of course, you can engage with the community. So post your visualizations on LinkedIn. I don't know what that thing in the middle is. I think it used to have a bird or instead, something like that. A blue bird, I think it was. Is that right? I think it was a blue bird before. It's a bad platform when people still have to call it formerly known as Twitter, like 3 years after it was bought. But anyway, I don't use X anymore. And of course, there's Threads, which I started to use when it first came out. I imagine a lot of people started to use it when it first came out. But I stick to LinkedIn because that's the platform that I enjoy. I like it because I find the conversations are authentic, that there's real people behind that, right? Everybody's got a LinkedIn profile. If you're not nice to people, people are going to stop following you. People are going to report you on LinkedIn, right? So it's a place where people have to be authentic and can't troll like they do on other platforms. And of course, there's Slack communities like the Data Viz Society. There's Tableau has a Slack community if you're an ambassador. And I'm trying to think of some others, but I'm drawing a blank now. But there's lots of communities within Slack. Of course, the Tableau community, like the forums or Tableau Public and the user groups. And then I've got my own community on Next Level Tableau, which has actually turned out to be a lot better than I thought it would. I wasn't going to roll it out till next year, but I'm glad I did. And it's a great chance for you, again, talking about career, it's a great way for you to be a leader in the community. You could lead Tableau user groups. You could offer to speak at user groups. You could start your own community project, or you could offer to help run one. There's lots of different ways that you can participate in the community, but the more and more you do that, and the more and more you involve yourself, the more likely you are to become an ambassador or a visionary, right? So these are 8 Tableau visionaries that went through the data school, right? There's, I think, 72 visionaries. Oh, no, there's been 72 in the lifetime of the visionary program. I think there's like 50 now, something like that. But what they've demonstrated, the reason I pick these people out, not only because I train them and I'm proud of it, I know it might sound a bit arrogant, but I'm quite proud of how they've come. They all have an incredible work ethic, right? They take Mark Reed, for example, bottom, let's see, second column, second row, I guess, next to Lorna. So he's known for kind of looking ahead at the new features in the previews and writing blog posts about those and creating lots of use cases, thinking about really creative use cases that people can use for these features. So it's a really, everybody kind of has their own take on that, but they've all demonstrated the ability to be consistent, to share with others, and to develop those technical skills. So what are some of the long-term benefits? See, there's some of the ones that I've seen, and I'll just share these with you. So jobs come to you, right? If you build this profile and you build this community presence, people are going to come to you. That's how I got my job at Facebook, right? I was writing a blog and somebody at Facebook was implementing Tableau and was looking for somebody that knew what they were doing. And they found my blog and they offered me a job. I mean, I hardly had to interview for it. It was great, but it was because of, like I said before, they didn't ask for my resume. Well, that's not true. I gave it to the recruiter, but the people that I was interviewing with never asked me about anything that was on my resume. They wanted to know, well, why are you writing about this stuff, right? They were interested in my passion for Tableau because they wanted to bring that into Facebook to build a community, right? Kind of like an extension of the Tableau community. It gave me a chance to live abroad. I would have never moved to the UK if it wasn't for the Tableau community. And kind of related to that is to live the lifestyle you want, right? If you are improving your skills, you're demonstrating your value, you're going to make more money, right? And that's going to ultimately improve your lifestyle and, improve the amount you save. It helps you with your retirement, all these kind of long-term things that have these benefits just by putting in a bit of work to build your Tableau Public profile. You can find your people, right? You all are my people. Yeah, where you came here because you're interested in Tableau. If you weren't interested in Tableau, you wouldn't be here. I can guarantee that, right? So it's a great way to, when you go to a conference, for example, everybody there is there because they love Tableau. Those are your people. You're going to develop incredible skills, of course, because of the repetition and the consistency. And you're going to make friends for life. I mean, my best friends I met through Tableau. I can say that, I was fortunate to meet the founders of Tableau because I started using it so long ago, and those are really good friends of mine. I feel quite fortunate, but it's really weird how this kind of tool that I use happens to turn into my best friends. It's been just absolutely, absolutely incredible. And of course, if you're not having fun, then I would probably recommend stopping. But the more and more you use it, I think the more and more fun you're going to have, because you're going to discover new techniques. You're going to figure out, oh, I know how to build this visualization now. I know how to create this calculation, because you're doing that repetition and that practice. So some things to remember when you are using Tableau Public. So if you use somebody else's visualization for inspiration, so say, for example, that you use one of Ellen's visualizations as kind of a template that you want to use for something you're working on, right? You want to learn, well, how does she build that? There is, when you publish something up to Tableau Public, at the bottom of the page below your visualization, there's a spot to enter an inspiration. You just take the link of their visualization, paste it in there, and it gives that traceability and gives that person credit. It also makes it look like you're not ripping off somebody else's work. I think it shows that you are actually going out and trying to find people that inspire you in the community. You're looking for those people that are 3 and 4 and 5 steps ahead of you, because those are the people you want to learn from. Do it for yourself, though. Don't create a Tableau Public profile because you think somebody else wants you to do it. Don't do it because I think you should do it. Do it because you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, that's perfectly fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But don't do it for anybody except for yourself. Excuse me. And my recommendation, don't ever delete anything off your Tableau Public profile. I showed that with Lorna's, the couple screenshots of Lorna's profile. You can see that demonstration of how you've improved your skills over time. Not only is that good for hiring managers to see, it's actually good for you to see as well. Go back and look at your earlier visualizations and look at what you're creating now, and you're like, oh my God, why did I ever do that? Well, you know why you did that? That's because all you knew at the time, right? Nobody creates something terrible on purpose. So don't slag people off for that, right? Everybody is starting somewhere. And don't be ChatGPT, please. When you're leaving comments on, or you're writing a post on LinkedIn, or you're responding to comments, please don't use ChatGPT. Make the comments genuine. For me, if I see somebody with what I can tell is a ChatGPT comment, I imagine a lot of you can kind of understand now what I'm talking about. You can kind of pick those up. I delete them and I block the person. Does it sound harsh? Yeah, but I don't need that person in my community, right? I want people that are authentic. And most importantly, have a bit of fun. All right, so let's wrap this up. We're almost done. My best piece of advice is just get started, right? There's any obstacles that you find in your way, look for reasons to get rid of them. They're only obstacles in your head. Your brain is constantly trying to put things in your way to make you not do anything. Your brain wants you to be lazy. That's what we're designed to do, right? So think about those excuses that your brain is trying to put in and push those out of the way. If you have, 30 minutes a week and that's all you have, go do it for 30 minutes a week. That's perfectly fine, right? That 30 minutes, if you do it over time, you're going to be able to do a lot more in that 30 minutes as you work through that. When you first start using Tableau, in 30 minutes, you might only be able to create, a bar chart and a line chart. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's what you're capable of in your first 30 minutes. But that same 30 minutes a few months from now, if you do a little bit each day or a little bit each week, you're going to be able to do a lot more than just those two things, right? So you're going to continue to see that progress. And if you need help doing this, you are more than welcome to join Next Level Tableau. This isn't a promotional thing. I just thought about sticking this at the end. The only reason I did this presentation is because of the thinking about the Tableau Public ambassadors that came up. But if you're interested in joining, my goal with Next Level Tableau is to no longer be able to train you. I want you to be so good that I can't help you anymore, right? That is my goal. It's kind of like when I was a manager, I wanted people to be too good to work for me. And any good manager should be like that, actually. If your manager isn't trying to make you better than them, then they're probably not a very good manager. And that's what I want with Next Level Tableau. Some of the stuff you get here, I won't rattle it all off. Most important thing, and I think the most valuable thing, and the thing that I have the worst trouble communicating to people, is the live training sessions. There's quite a few people here that have joined some of the live training sessions before. And I do 3 live training sessions a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for an hour. And then there's office hours on Thursday as well. So we do a bit of Tableau Doctor, might have guest speakers, things like that. The classes, we cover everything, right? As wide and as deep as we can possibly go. It's unlike anything else you can possibly get. There's also workshops once a month that you get access to. Plus, you get access to all of the workshops I've done in the past. If you've ever attended one of those, there's, I think, about 10 of them now. Hundreds of workbooks. Everything's recorded. There's on-demand modules, anything that you need. But then there's also an incredibly supportive community. So we've built this Slack community. Actually, I haven't built the Slack community. The people in the program have built the Slack community. I just kind of started the Slack account. But it's a great place. People can ask questions. There's a help desk. There's community project section. There's places where people just post random stuff. That's where the recordings are posted. That's where we get feedback. I get lots of feedback on what I could do better in the training classes. And it's become this incredibly useful and valuable community. So if you want 10% off, I've just decided to throw this coupon out there. Any membership, it's just a one-time coupon. There's 3 different memberships: monthly, quarterly, and yearly. The code is SEPT. Anybody know what SEPT stands for? Anybody know? By the way, did you know that Tableau no longer recognizes SEP as September? So if you have calculations that are built off a 3-character month name, Tableau is not recognizing September. It will convert it to a null. For some reason, they decided that it's now SEPT. So all of them are 3 characters except for September, which is 4. So John, you look a bit puzzled there. Like, what the heck happened there? I just happened to think of that.
Right.
But
So arbitrary.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why it is, but just be aware of that. Little tip for you there. But it's a code SEPT 2024, expires at the end of the month, so plenty of time. No rush if you're interested, and no pressure to join either. There's quite a few people on the call here that are in the program as well that I'm sure would be happy to get on a call with you and get some advice. But on top of that, because you've stuck around this long, I don't know how many of you, there's 71 of you on here. Holy crap, I wasn't expecting that. I'm going to send out a link afterwards with a copy of this presentation. I will send a link to Next Level Tableau along with the coupon code. I'll send a link to the recording, which I'll just stick up on YouTube, but I'll make it private for just the people that come to the call. And then I'll also send you, I just created a guide that came out of a class yesterday that we did in Next Level Tableau. I'm calling it the Complete Guide to Aggregate versus Non-Aggregate. It's generated quite the discussion on our Slack channel, but I think I finally have a good way to explain it. It's a really difficult concept to teach, I think. And then also 30 KPI dashboard templates. So just for being here today, I've got your email addresses from registering. I will contact you on that email address. And then, so I'll send you the 2 dashboards, link to Next Level Tableau, the coupon code, this presentation, and a link to the recording. So before I hop off, I guess, thank you very much for coming. Where is the, I've lost my presentation here. 1 second. I don't know what's going on. Give me 1 second because the presentation just crapped out. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not letting me go to the. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe that's the last slide. 1 sec. Let me see. What a good way to fail at the end. Okay. The last slide. Oh, there we go. Now we see the last slide. But thank you for sticking around. The website is nextleveltableau.com. All the information is on there. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll just go ahead and open up the mic. I'm going to stop the recording here, but feel free to ask any questions.